Welcome back to Morning Joe as we take a live look at the Capitol. With us now, Democratic Senator from Virginia, Senator Tim Kaine. How's the adjustment going from being governor to senator? I've never asked. Well, Joe, I have never asked a former governor what it's like being a senator without him laughing at me and saying it's
I got to tell you,
terrible. It's terrible.
I may be the exception to the rule.
Are you really?
There are things about governor I like better, but I tell you, the governor is an executive job, Senate is an expertise job. So pick a couple of areas that you really care about and dig into them, and there's a lot of satisfaction there. So I have great committees, armed services, budget, foreign relations. I got a great staff. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. Hey, so you wrote on TidewaterNews.com this: Obama should block the Keystone Pipeline. I'm a pro-pipeline senator. As a former mayor of Richmond, a city with gas utility, I think it makes sense to be anti-pipeline.
Makes no sense to be anti.
No sense. But I oppose. Would you like to just read this, governor turned senator? But I oppose the Keystone XL project. Although the president's decision is technically over whether to allow a pipeline to deliver oil from Alberta to the coast of the Gulf of Mexico, the real issue isn't the pipeline. It's the wisdom of using tar sands oil.
Absolutely. You know, I think maybe in talking about it, we've kind of misdirected people. We're against the Keystone Pipeline. People think, is there a pipeline problem? Pipelines are fine. You know, pipelines, I'm a natural gas person. I like the new hydrofracturing technologies that are increasing natural gas production. No, but what I think is, here's what we ought to do. Let's be cleaner tomorrow than we are today. And that's what America's done since '05. Greenhouse gas emissions in the United States have gone down by 9%.
All right, so what's wrong with the pipeline?
Tar sands is a backslide. Tar sands oil is about 15 to 20% dirtier than conventional petroleum, and the process for extracting and refining it is very damaging. And I think what we ought to be doing is saying, look, we're going to get cleaner every day, not backslide, and that's what tar sands does. So I think the president should say, we don't want to do the pipeline because we don't want to backslide. There's too many cleaner alternatives, and we ought to be embracing those.
Senator, I was up in Calgary last year, and you're right. All the stuff they say about bitumen and tar sands, it's incredibly dirty. To get it out is, you know, destroying the CO2 emissions. But the truth is that in Calgary, there are tons of Chinese already setting up business. If we don't buy that tar sands oil, the Chinese are going to do it, and they've got no restrictions on the kinds of processes that go into extracting it and refining it.
You're right, Caddy, and that's a challenging argument. At the same time, you're not leading by going to lowest common denominator. I think we play a leadership role in the world.
But don't we make the Earth's environment dirtier if we let the Chinese get it without any regulations, and if we get it with our stringent regulations?
Here's what I say. I'd say let's invest our time and resources and energy in cleaner alternatives and then sell those to the Chinese, sell those to India building coal plants. And we can do it across the spectrum.
Chinese aren't going to buy it. They already got the tar sands. They'll get it cheaper.
Look, China's got, you all travel to China, they got major environmental problems too.
They do.
And the clean energy economy is a massive economy in the world, and we need to be leaders in that and then sell others cleaner technology.
You really think that's possible? I mean, 5 years ago, I was talking about the importance of that. 4 years ago, I was talking about the importance of that. But I understand the markets. You talk about natural gas, a natural gas revolution. You can talk about the oil revolution. We're the #1 exporter of oil by 2020. We're probably going to be investing less in clean energy in the coming years because oil and natural gas, I mean, we've got a revolution.
Well, natural gas isn't bad. I mean, natural gas has enabled us to fuel switch from dirtier fuels to natural gas. That's one of the reasons greenhouse gas emissions are reducing. But look, let's talk about alternatives. Over a third of the electric power put on the grid in this country since '05 has been wind power. So there are advancing technologies. We're not going to turn off carbon overnight. We need to keep using carbon. But if we're using carbon, let's just make it cleaner tomorrow than today and not backslide.
Yeah, look, I'm not impressed with the argument. Well, China's going to be dirty, so let's just, whatever they do, we should do that. I think Senator has a good point here. Why don't we take a leadership role? And ultimately, the Chinese are going to be facing the same problems. You can't go into cities. They're having a vast urbanization program. The particle pollution that they have is up a gazillion%. And when they get ready to go on the clean energy thing, if we're a technology leader, we'll sell them all of our technology. It might even be good business. But I'm not persuaded by the argument that the lowest, we should emulate the most pollutant place in the world.
I think what Caddy was saying and what I was saying is that we actually, the world's environment is going to be cleaner if we use that, get that oil from Canada, and then we run it through where we have higher regulations, and the Chinese are just going to take it and and use it.
Well, look, I mean, this is a tough issue, and I'm going to be an ex-senator one day, and people are going to ask me, what'd you do about energy and the environment? And what I want to tell them is I want to tell them a story of American innovation, smart policy choices like CAFE standards, fuel switching. We keep driving down greenhouse gas emissions, not backsliding. I mean, I think it's very important, and I think that was the heart of the president's speech the other day.
Let's talk about Virginia politics for a second. You left as a popular guy. You know, I keep hearing all these negative articles about Bob McDonnell. They filter up sometimes from the right, sometimes from the left. Bob's approval rating's pretty darn good. I think he's plus 25, plus 30.
Stays high.
Virginians love Bob McDonnell more so than Ken Cuccinelli. What's happening to the Cuccinelli-Terry McAuliffe race right now?
Well, it's fascinating. You know, I think the race will be close, but I feel really good about the Democrats sweeping for the first time since 1985, and I'll tell you why. First, why will it be close? 2013, Joe, you know, we're the only election in the country, but those off-year elections, low turnout, and low turnout races tend to be close.
Well, you got Chris Christie, but he's got a 70% approval rate. So we're going to be
the spotlight race. And I remember from running in 2005, low turnout creates challenges and maybe a little more challenges for Dems. On the other hand, Terry has got a great ticket. Terry has got a good story of, look, I want to bring people together. I want to work together. I'm a deal maker. That's kind of the Virginia way, is to work together and keep the economy strong. And the ticket he's up against is just a ticket that, you know, first is mired in some ethical challenges of their own. I'm not talking about, you know, the headline that pops up about Governor McDonnell now and then, that Ken Cuccinelli's got some challenges that are pretty significant ones. And it's a ticket that is sort of a no-compromise ticket. Virginians of all stripes.
That's a polite way to say it. I mean, we were talking about the lieutenant governor candidate.
I'm in politics for a reason. Maybe I should be in diplomacy.
Ken Cuccinelli is actually distancing himself. And Ken has said some things that are very conservative. He's distancing himself from his own ticket because they're saying some things that are far outside the mainstream of where Virginia voters are.
And we've got, you know, 30% R, 30% D, 40% independent. But even the R's and D's in Virginia, because we don't register by party, we just kind of self-proclaim every election. You can pick either primary. It's an independent electorate that wants to find people who know how to work together. And I think that's why Terry is going to do well.
Senator, what do you think the impact of the Supreme Court rulings on same-sex marriage will have? Because
on the race.
Because 2006, Virginia voted for a state constitutional ban on same-sex marriage.
If we had that election today, I'm not sure it would come out the same way. Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. And, you know, in Virginia, so we're so Jefferson-centric, and we're going to be in 4th of July next week. All over the country, people are going to hear the Declaration of Independence read. We do that on the 4th of July. When they get to those words, all men are created equal, it's going to have a sort of a new luster and a deeper richness when we do that next week. Next week, 150th anniversary of Gettysburg, and they're going to be there reading Lincoln's address, the Gettysburg Address, a nation dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. That's going to have a brighter luster next week because of the Supreme Court's decision yesterday.
Senator, thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely.
Always great to see you. Straight ahead, we got Barney Frank in the green room and much more on Morning Joe.
Same thing as the